Welcome to the 10th Year Podcast, a podcast about health, parenting, and relationships with your hosts, Christof and Crystal. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the 10th Year Podcast. You already know who I am. I'm Christof. If you don't know who I am, hi, welcome. I'm Christof. And to my left,
it's Crystal.
Not Beyonce. This is a woman who's better than Beyonce.
Oh, I wish I had her booty.
I don't. I don't. You know what they say? More booty, more problems. I think that's how the saying goes.
Never heard that.
It's an old Russian saying.
Russian?
Yeah, like back in like the 1700s. Ye with more down below in the rear shall hath more problems. It's a fact. It's science. You look it up. That's a real historical quote.
All right.
I wouldn't lie. Have I ever lied to you about history? Have I ever lied to you about history?
Okay, not about history.
Have I ever lied to you about food?
No.
No.
Never.
Have I ever lied to you about how to keep this show going?
No.
Do you know how you can keep the show going by supporting the show?
By using our Amazon affiliate link.
That's one.
You're gonna school me here on the podcast.
We've only been doing this for 9 episodes here, so you'd think you'd know. But for anyone who doesn't know, head on over to thebeardeddetailer.com/the10th year podcast. And over there are a few ways that you can help support us by keeping this show going. Number one, as Crystal mentioned, is using our Amazon affiliate link. All you do, very, very simple, click on the link. It'll take you to Amazon. To you, it looks like normal Amazon. Go ahead and bookmark that link, the first thing you do, and use that bookmark every time you want to shop on Amazon. Behind the scenes, what that does is when you purchase something using that affiliate link, it gives us a little kickback, helps support us, and we always try to product link and everything like that. I try to do it through my business as well, too. So that's one way that doesn't cost you any extra to help give back to the show. Another way...
Strike Force.
What's the promo code?
Beard20.
There you go. Head on over. Also on our website, you'll see a link to strikeforceenergy.com. They are the best. It's the best. It really is the best form of energy that I have had the pleasure of consuming into my large face hole.
As you wear a sloth. Slow is smooth.
Smooth is fast. It's
Sure.
true. It's from Ranger Up. They're good people.
Could you imagine a sloth having a little bit of strike force?
Dude, you might overload.
Might
actually move at a normal pace. But
hey, they swim pretty quick, though.
Yeah, we saw that on Planet Earth too, watching the sloth swim across.
At least they seem to swim.
Well,
pretty
you
quick.
can't swim slow. Think about that.
Very true.
You can't swim. I think it's physically impossible to swim slow. That's called drowning, or you have to float. I don't know. But yes, head on over to StrikeForceEnergy.com. They got 4 great flavors: original, orange, lemon, and Make America Grape. They have a grape flavor, which for some reason, so we have the 750 milliliter bottles. It's just easier for us. It's actually more cost efficient if you buy them too versus the packets. And I usually do 1 squirt of original and 1 squirt of grape. I mix the two, and it's a really good combination. It's really good. Also, we got the Chew Man here. He's going in and out. Bye, Chewy. Hi, Chewy. And another way, use the promo code BEARD20. We'll get you 20% off your order every single time. And lastly, the Bearded Detailer, using the promo code TTY10. Ladies, Valentine's Day is coming up. That's all I should have to say. Sometimes that man in your life, he might like cars. Most of them like cars. So go ahead and go on the website, thebeardeddetailer.com. Head on over to the swag store. There you can shop a plethora of stuff. If he is a if he's a Volkswagen guy, chances are there's going to be a lot of stuff there for him. I can get parts to all major brands. I just happen to have a bias to Volkswagen, so that's what most of the stuff is in there. But there's a lot of good cleaning products up on there as well. Optimum brand cleaning products that it's the best of the best. There's a reason why I use them. And I took a break from using them right now to come up here to record the podcast. And I'm working on a Ford Edge right now. It's 2010. It's never been detailed ever. Very, very abused. Or, neglected, I will say that. But anyway, and the fourth way, it's free, it's easy for anyone to do, is share. Share, like, rate, review. That's it. I haven't checked to see if anyone has left us a review. Last I had checked, there was no review for us, so I don't know. But it is simple and free to just simply like and share. That's easy, right? I tried giving my some good karma this week, and I went through all of my podcasts that I had not rated and reviewed. I left a rating and review for all of them.
Oh, that was very nice of you.
Yeah, I tried to give some good karma, and it doesn't look like it paid off yet. There's 0. You can actually rate on Apple Podcasts and Facebook. You can leave a rating and review on both places. I prefer the Apple Podcast one. It's very, very simple. I don't think you can rate on Spotify. I don't think you can yet. Anywho, episode 9. This is the third and final installment of our PTSD topic. And more, I think it's a little bit more than PTSD topic. It's a transition, kind of like a deployment transition to civilian life, and making that I think that's what the overall message here. It's not just PTSD. It's making a transition from being in the military to going into a combat zone, coming home to married life, being introduced to children, and trying to it was very, very quick how that all transpired. So trying to make that transition as painlessly as possible, which we took the long way around, but we got there. So we left off last week with flushing all pills. So I wish there was like a little previously on the 10th Year podcast. You never told me those were your socks!
I do steal all of your socks.
Not anymore. Let's steal my old ones, not my new ones.
Yeah,
They're too
because
big
you finally
for you.
got new socks. It's taken.
I splurged. I treated myself
for Christmas.
All I wanted was socks.
Santa knew that.
Santa did. That fat bastard. Anyway, we left off with being the fact that I was on so many medications for plethora of things. The VA was just kind of going, here you go, take these. Is like a Pez dispenser. I was a walking Pez dispenser, essentially. And flushed them all. And once I think that the lesson to take away, if there is one, is once I made a commitment to myself and my family to become a better person, only then was change able to happen. It sounds very cliche. It sounds like it should be on a caption on a picture with some clouds in the sky and a sunset. But it's true. It's true. And I always say this. One of the things that they teach in the Army, and I'm sure other branches of the military as well too, is you cannot help other people until you can help yourself. Mm-hmm. You are worthless to other people if you are not able to take care of yourself. That's why even on airplanes, they tell you to make sure your oxygen mask is correctly put on your face before helping those around you, including children. That's the way it is. If out in combat someone gets shot and you recklessly run out to get them and you get hit, well then now you have two people that are hit. So the right thing to do is to wait until you can make an educated and you evaluate the situation until you know that you will be of use to get the job done to help other people. You always help yourself before helping others. And I was not able to help our relationship until I, to borrow the words of the late great Michael Jackson. I had to start with the man in the mirror. That's
Very true.
and that's what it was. So I realized that I had problems. I had to own that responsibility. I had to take responsibility for my own actions. I can't blame anybody else for this. I mean, I could, but it's pointless. You know, if I yell, there's no one to blame but myself for yelling. I can make the choice if I'm going to do that or not. And no, I mean, I can always sit here and say, well, I've been pushed to yell or to snap, but ultimately I have the responsibility of making the choice to do something. So that being said, you have that choice when you are of clear mind and body. If you have, I was not able to make proper choices because my head was clouded due to all the medications. I was not thinking properly. I, in most cases, wasn't thinking. I was clouded. So therefore, my judgment. It's kind of like asking somebody to do accounting while stone drunk. You can't make these decisions when your mind's not working properly.
I wouldn't want them doing my accounting.
Well, it depends on which way they go. Good.
True. Okay.
But yeah. So, I decided to deal with my back pain on my own. And obviously, when I say on my own for a lot of these things, I knew there were a lot of things that I had to deal with personally, but I knew I wouldn't be able to make the whole journey without a support team. It's okay to admit you need help, and I think that's I started writing a book. I did that. Started years ago. I should finish it. I really should, but I started writing. And it was my whole story. It was pretty much my story from birth until, pretty much the military years. Essentially, was what I focused on. Because I always said that if I were to just die tomorrow, I want my kids to not have any questions as to who their dad was, and what I did. That's it. So I wanted to write down everything because there's stories of our families that have kind of been lost because no one wrote them down. So, but one of the things I mentioned in that was weakness. No one wants to admit that they need help because admitting you need help is viewed as a sign of weakness. I mean, maybe that's the way I look at it, or I've seen other people look at it. But I think that's a safe generalization to make. I think society is getting a little bit better about it. I know in the military it is getting better. I know back when I was deployed and coming back, you kind of got made fun of if you said that you had nightmares. So a lot of things went. You didn't talk about certain things with certain people because you'd get made fun of. You could get a dishonorable discharge. You can get an other than honorable discharge, and that screws up your whole VA benefits and being able to be seen by the VA. Your discharge paper is everything. So a lot of cases of PTSD, genuine PTSD and traumatic brain injury, TBI, and other things went undiagnosed because people didn't want to admit they had a problem because they were afraid of being discharged, let go, medically retired, any of the above, or being ridiculed, So thankfully, I decided that all of that was bullshit, and I'm not going to listen to anybody from there. Well, and also I was getting out at that point too. Like I wasn't just coming home, I was getting out. I had reached that point where I knew we were going to have a family, and they weren't willing. It was kind of a, you promote me and I'll stay. And they said, no, you stay, won't promote you. I'm like, all right, well, I'm not playing this game. I need more money. There's more mouths in our family, and I need to go. So, with the back pain, I also cut drinking by quite a bit. That was another thing. I stopped drinking. And I going to work full-time at Young, selling cars, which I liked. For those who haven't figured it out yet, I love to talk.
All the time.
If I could talk all the time, I probably would. I probably would. Hey, we got a request to do a 3-hour episode on just chewing.
We can't do that.
No, sorry, Jillian, we can't do that. Honestly, I really don't know if I could talk about him for 3 hours. I really don't know I could.
No, I couldn't.
I could talk about a lot of things for 3 hours, not our dog. Maybe we haven't had him long enough, probably, is what it is.
True.
But, where was I? Got sidetracked. Oh, full-time job. So working at Young, got out of the. So it was a good mixture. Being with people, keeping my mind busy all the time, was huge. To this day, I still know that if I have a day where I'm doing nothing and there's nothing for me to do, my mind wanders real bad, and it's real bad. And because I'm home all day, every day, my human interaction with people face to face, I need that. Like my personality, I need that. I need face to face interaction with somebody that I'm not related to.
And I'm the total opposite.
Yeah.
I could be in your shoes easily.
I can't. I have to go out. The kids always get upset if I stop at the dealership when they're in the car, because I always say, I'm just going to run in real quick, and an hour later I'm leaving. 45 minutes I'm leaving.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
That sounds very right. It's just because I need interaction. I need to get out. I need to talk to people. That's part of my mental health. And so working full-time was good. I dropped a lot of weight, which was good. That was another thing, that when I was working at St. Luke's, I had a doctor tell me that I was having back pain because I was overweight. Mind you, this lady was about 400 pounds, 300 pounds, and like 5'5". So that's another topic about being a hypocrite in a medical profession. You have doctors telling you to stop smoking, and they go outside for their cigarette break. I'm like, some of the most hypocritical people I've met have worked in the medical field. So, but anyway, yeah, she told me that I need to, and I was only overweight by 15 pounds, 20 pounds or so.
Which is not bad.
On my frame, no, I was heavy, but I was not. I mean, if you use what I'm supposed to be, yeah, I was grossly overweight. Not grossly. I was heavy if you use what I'm supposed to be.
I'm classified as overweight.
Well, I'm overweight too, but I was borderline obese because I'm supposed to be like 180.
I know. Off topic, I don't like BMI charts.
No, BMI charts are stupid. Yeah, so, but going off of that, yeah, at 230, at 225, yeah, I would say I had to lose a few pounds too, but, she didn't know my normal frame is 200. Like, that's comfortable for me.
Or you need to work your core more. I remember you heard that a lot.
Yeah.
Your core is weak.
There is some validity to that. But now knowing what we know, that was a bullshit response. But it would have made sense if there was actually something wrong physically. Like I had a disc that was bad, or the muscle was deteriorating around in my back or something. That would make sense.
You had all perfect imaging.
Correct. So what I have, 2 MRIs, 3 X-rays, all came back normal.
And you had a CT, I believe, too.
No, I thought they just did 2 MRIs.
CT. Oh, just MRIs?
Just 2 MRIs, yeah. And, because I had one at St. Luke's and one up at the VA in Wilkes-Barre. But Crystal was always looking for solutions. You had recommended acupuncture for one of them.
How about I talk about the solutions?
Yeah,
long-winded man.
Go for it.
Hey, so the acupuncture, that was actually recommended to me by a patient who had a lot of mobility problems. He had a hard time walking due to knee pain, back pain. I can't remember the whole story. I believe he was in a car accident. And he told me that he would have to get acupuncture multiple times, but it would actually help him walk. The science behind that, I'm not quite certain.
Well, and the reason why I was against that, here's I wanted a solution that was not going to be invasive, so surgery was right out, and of course we had nothing to back up the fact that I needed surgery other than other people with back pain. But, like I said, the imaging did not jive with that. So we would have been doing it for nothing. And that's even worse. And I didn't want anything invasive. I didn't want something that I was going to have to be reliant on.
True, and that person was reliant
Correct. And I've heard that a lot about acupuncture, that it's something you have to continually, kind of like going to a chiropractor.
Yeah.
Chances are, if you go there just for a simple, you're going to be going there for the rest of your life.
Yeah. So that option was off the table. Mm-hmm. So then I went to Young Living essential oils. They had some like pain oils that people were saying worked very well for them. And even though
I let you do one,
he wasn't very excited about it, he at least let me try. And didn't work.
Nothing.
In which I've had essential oils work for me. So
at this point, I have now tried drinking, which did help. Not healthy.
Yeah.
Because of the amount I had to drink to keep my back from hurting was not healthy. Pills did not help. Made, again, also not healthy. Oil did not help. Physical therapy did not help.
Yeah, that made it worse.
That was early on. It did make it worse, absolutely. I was in more pain after that.
Yeah.
That was another thing. The physical therapist was way out of shape, telling me to... I'm like, dude, there has to be a... It's like if you were watching your fitness videos in the morning and it was someone who was like 900 pounds telling you to do it, you wouldn't do it.
No.
Like, it's not just do as I say and not as I do. You got to do it. I told this to Chloe today. I'm like, you never ask someone to do something that you yourself would not do.
Yeah, like I wouldn't make her eat tons of vegetables and then I'm just sitting here eating
no vegetables,
macaroni and cheese or something like that. Because then, they are looking at you like, well, why the hell do I have to eat it and you don't?
Yep. That's like when I would do her punishments with with the hands up and all that, and I've made her do flutter kicks, I've made her do push-ups.
In which you've done all that
I've
before.
done everything, and I would do it
boot
right.
Camp.
If she doesn't believe me, I would do it right in front of her to prove it. So, and that actually came from our drill sergeants in basic. They said we will not ask you to do anything that we have not either done ourselves or are willing to do in front of you. Mm-hmm. So it's a good take on life. But anyway, that brings us to 2015. Yes.
So I love to research. I research, and I research everything. Nutrition, health, everything. So ADHD, you name it. If it's of interest to me, Google is my best friend, even though Google shouldn't be your best friend. But
wait, hang on.
You interrupted me.
I understand I did, and I'm not sorry about it because there's a very important piece of information missing from this whole thing. Is during this whole time, I'm still fighting the VA with my disability claim.
Yeah.
And for those listening, most people, I think the stereotype is when you hear disability, it's people who are looking for a paycheck or who are trying to play the system or who cannot physically move, a mobility issue. Here's why. I was not, and I still have never done any of these claims for the money. What I have done it for is looking back in history and seeing how Vietnam vets were treated when they came back, and even today as they continue to try to get things covered as a service-connected injury, it gets harder the longer the gap from the actual injury to when you're trying to claim it becomes. So I wanted to get everything very, very early as possible. This way, it's very, like, let's say I've been home for almost 10 years now. So if I were to go now and say, I have a back problem, it would be very easy for the VA to go, oh, well, that's not service connected. You did that in the last 10 years. So I wanted to get everything as soon as possible. And I knew the longer the gap, the longer the wait, the harder it was going to be. So this whole time, the VA is telling me you don't have a back issue. They denied my back claims, saying that it was not service connected. And so this is, and you're talking about 3-hour phone calls, 2-hour phone calls, just waiting to speak to somebody. I used to spend an hour and 45 minutes on hold, waiting to speak to somebody at the VA. And but yes, sorry, I just remembered that's a very big piece of the puzzle that's missing here. So that's a frustration level on top of everything else, being told, oh no, you don't have a problem, and your claim is being denied over and over and over again, or you have to wait a year for a claim to be denied or approved, so very, very frustrating. Continue.
Are you sure?
I'm sure. I had to get that out of my system.
I can go now.
Continue.
So.
But then
what did I leave off with?
I have no idea. You're talking about researching. You research everything.
You took like 5 minutes for that.
Sorry. It was important. You said you research everything.
So I research everything. So you basically have denied everything that I have come up with. So I don't remember how I got into it, but somehow I was looking for like articles with veterans who had a lot of like lower back pain. And I believe I got into what we did find as the solution through VA articles.
It was a survey, a study done by the VA.
By the VA.
Which is ironic.
Yeah, because they were fighting us with you not having a back problem. So it ended up being that I found this, I guess, is it a technique or a therapy?
I would classify it as a therapy. Yeah, I would classify it as a therapy. And it is a technique used in this type of therapy, yeah.
So it was EMDR that I ended up finding.
Which stands for eye movement desensitization and reprocessing.
And of course, when you find something that you think has the possibility of working, you again research. And
because you don't want to just go, oh, if I drop a cinder block on my toe, that's been known to work.
Yeah.
Let's go for it.
So I wanted like the best of the best in our area. And it had to be somebody who the VA would pay for it. Or, no, not the VA. My current insurance that I had
Worst
to pay
case,
for it.
I could submit it to the VA.
Yes.
Because the VA will cover any treatment not offered by the VA. So if the VA would have had someone that would have done this, I would have had to go through them first, or our insurance would have had to pay for it.
But what the article, the study that they were doing was that they were believing there was a link between people with PTSD and having lower back pain, because the lower back is an area of where stress is released out of the body.
Right. The mental, I guess I'm going to call it mental pain, for lack of a better term, manifests in physical pain in a certain part of the body, and more often than not, it is lower back.
Yes. So
it made perfect sense.
Yes, and when I found a person who seemed like she was one of the best that does the EMDR, she talked about how she did a lot of stuff with the Vietnam vets, and
she'd been doing it for over 20 years.
Yeah, in general. So I knew she was the woman that we had to do. So now you can talk, sweetie. You could tell them about EMDR, because now this is out of my hands.
Don't patronize me.
I
edit this show. I can cut everything out you just said.
I just got my 10 minutes of this whole entire episode.
Shut off. Fuck you. So
love you. Not really.
Spit in your food tonight. I'm trying to remember her name. I have it.
Oh, come on. It doesn't matter.
No, it does matter.
In this area?
Anita Jones is her name. She left me a voicemail, and I kept it. I've kept it ever since. But All right. So eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. I'm going to explain this in my terms because even she told me that they don't know how it works, just that it works.
Or should I explain it because you're the veteran and how in simple terms how it is explained to me.
Well, you think I'm going to use some big educated words like
Oh, heck no. Most definitely not.
like Scandinavia or something?
Shut up.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Take a stab.
Well,
Go for it.
it was explained to me that when you go...
By me.
Shut up. It was explained to me, not by you, by reading. It was explained to me that when you go through something very traumatic, it could be rape, it could be a very bad car accident, it could be...
You're getting a phone call.
I'm getting a phone call. It could be whatever happens at war that causes PTSD.
War.
That your brain doesn't process the memory. It believes that you are reenacting that memory in live time.
Well, you have short-term memory and you have long-term memory, and there's a reason for that. There is a point in which short-term crosses over into long-term. It sounds crazy. The best way for me to explain it is like you always hear about these stories of ghosts or spirits crossing over to the other side.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best way to really explain it. That short-term memory does not get to go into the past. It doesn't become long-term memory, so therefore it's fresh.
Yeah.
And a good example is like you think of something, the saddest thing that's ever happened to you as a kid that you vividly remember. If you then relive it, you can become emotional. Mm-hmm. Even if it happened 20 years ago, 30 years ago, depending on how powerful that memory is. But it's a long-term memory. You're not dealing with it every single day.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's a short-term, if it's always in the forefront of your mind.
So your body will react to it as if it was. So like if your PTSD trigger was you being shot at, you would be, however your body felt at that time is what you would feel over and over and over again because it hasn't passed on.
And there are obviously every event that happens, there's an emotion or multiple emotions attached to that memory. Period. Doesn't matter what it is. Smells trigger memories. Memories trigger emotions. That's just the way it is. Sounds, smells, sights. They all trigger an emotion from a memory. So I went in. I met with. Well,
I didn't finish.
Oh, go ahead.
You just love to talk.
No, I thought you were done.
No, I'm not done. Do I look like I'm done?
Speak up, bitch.
So, I hope that phone call wasn't an emergency.
It's probably your mom.
So, then each time that you would feel like you're reliving that moment in your time that has been causing you stress and your body's then response, there would be so much stress in the body that it would release out of these areas in the body that are high stress release areas, which there are a few. I think between the shoulder blades was one too, but lower back is...
I think that was the most common, was lower back.
Yeah, lower back is the most common. So there, I explained it in more simple terms. A memory is being relived over and over again, and how you feel at that time is how your body is then relaxing and penting up.
And you may not know that you're reliving it. That was part of the problem. Something may be happening in your head that you don't know is... That was part of the problem, because looking back on it now, like what we said in episode... Probably the last episode we talked about Carrie being born and I had to sit down. I wasn't thinking of, Afghanistan, but for some reason my body...
It could have been just the gore of childbirth.
Please, that nurse. Screw her.
No, because you had to deal with the death and everything over in Afghanistan.
Yeah, but no, I don't know. What I'm thinking is more maybe stressful. It was just a stressful situation. Having a baby is stressful for all parties involved. It's stress.
I don't know. I felt great because I got the epidural and you didn't.
Yeah, but it is stress. There's nothing that involves kids that is not stressful.
Hey, when they're finally asleep, life is good.
Yeah, but then you're not involved with them. You're away from them at that point.
Well, they're still in our life.
I know. Anyway, so I did. Can I go now? I can go.
Yeah, I'm gonna check my phone call.
So I did. I did. She has left the studio, folks. She's left. I can say whatever I want about her now. Yeah, I knew it was your mom. I said that. So I started going to Anita Jones. Like we mentioned, she'd been doing it for, I think she said about 20 years or so. And the first session was pretty much just a fact-finding information session, learning a little bit about me, about the process, just learning. And then I went for a total of 6 sessions. This is 2015. And I'd go once a week for 6 sessions. And she said she's had people finish in like 2 sessions, and she said she has people it takes years of sessions. So there is no set limit. It's all about the person. That's what it comes down to. And what we did, and this is what opened my eyes. And at first I'm like, this sounds like hypnotism. I don't want to be hypnotized and whatnot. But what made me really believe in this 110% was not just a bunch of studies, but she had me tell an event. I think we did 3. She wanted to start with she had me talk about an event that was not traumatic in whatsoever, like a 1 out of 10. Talk about a number 2, then talk about a number 5, and then talk about number 10. So it was levels, and when I would tell these stories, my back would just start radiating in pain. Now, granted, I'm sitting, but I was getting these flare. Like I could feel my back flaring up a little bit, and I'm sitting, and as soon as I stopped talking, it would back down. And I'm like, no way, this is no way. So essentially, what you do during EMDR, in a nutshell, is some people have a mechanical way of doing this, and some people have a digital way of doing it. She had a digital dot machine. And what did you do? She puts it in front of you, and she sets the speed. I don't know how they determine what speed to use, but they want you to relive in your head, relive the event, and keep those emotions and the event fresh in your mind while following the dot on the screen with your eyes. And essentially, it just goes back and forth, left to right, left to right. And it's not super fast. It's quick enough to not make you. It's slow enough to make you not dizzy. But the idea is to keep that history, that event, and the emotions in your head throughout the entire part. And for me, I could feel the pain go away, like as I'm doing it. And meanwhile, I'm still thinking of the event. Like it's not like I'm not thinking about. I'm trying to think about it while watching this dot, and then the pain just goes away. Absolutely crazy. So then we also determined kind of my happy place. What was like my zen? What was my moment of zen? What could that be in my head? I'm like, I don't have to imagine this. I know what my zen is. I know where I'm the most peaceful and happy, and that's down at Wookiees in the Woods in North Carolina. I told her, I'm like, she's like, I'll give you a few minutes to think. I'm like, I don't need to. I know exactly. I know exactly what it is. It's me sitting in the driver's seat of our car, driving down Tail of the Dragon, US 129. Nobody around, just me and the road in the middle of nowhere with no cell service, no Wi-Fi. That is my zen. And through saying, like, once I started saying that, she's like, you need to remember that. She's like, anytime you have a flare up, you can feel your back, you just need to go to that place. And for whatever reason, she did a couple things where we did the eye movement with the happy place as well, to kind of like as like a base level or something like that. I don't know. But on the sixth session, we did the event that we talked about in episode number 1, and episode number 7, the first part of this little series here. And my back was on fire. We did the EMD, we did the eye movement, and I just started crying because my back was fine. It was absolutely fine, and it was insane. It was the craziest thing I've ever experienced. It was the most relieving thing I've ever done in my life. And here's how I describe it. An event is kind of like a room. You walk into a room like you relive an event in your head. Any event, birthday party, school, anything. So an event is a room. You walk into that room, and in the room are items. Couch, chair, TV, table. Those items are emotions. So when you relive the event, you have all these emotions that are attached to it. And it was like a roller coaster every time I'd think about certain things. And apparently those emotions were causing the pain. So once this process happened, it was like walking into an empty room. I could still walk into the room. I could still think about and talk about the event, but all the emotions were gone. It was awesome. It was absolutely awesome. Really crazy. And she told me, she's like, you could really do this for almost anything, any event. She's like, you don't want to. She's like, we could go through, so every little bit of your deployment. She's like, but you kind of don't want to get rid of it all. She's like, because then it does turn into some form of, hypnotism, and you're getting rid of emotions that you'll want to get rid of. Like, you get rid of happy emotions if you wanted to. You really could. But essentially, I guess whatever this process is, whatever science is happening during this this session, this technique, it's allowing these emotions of the traumatic event to cross over into long term, where it will not affect you anymore. So, or I should say, it won't affect you on a daily basis. It won't affect you. It won't affect you like it was affecting you. And I was then able to function. I was able to sleep better after that. A lot better. Because it was all, and anytime I could feel my back starting to flare up, I was able to calm it down by, again, going to my happy place, doing the eye movement. And she's like, this is something you can do on your own. And crazy. Absolutely crazy. I recommend it. It's non-invasive. You'll never be cured of PTSD. You'll never be cured of a traumatic event. And nor do I want to be. I don't want to forget those events. They made me who I am right now. So I just don't want them to rule my life. And they were. They absolutely were. And it goes back to when it consumed my life and ruled my life, and therefore it affected those around me. So once I was able to help myself, I was able to help others. So another thing that's always helped me is just talking. I know, shocker. But I look at it this way, it's kind of like desensitizing myself to the situation. The more you talk about something, the less hard it becomes to talk about. So that helped. So anytime, you always get people like, oh, if you don't want to talk about it, so I'm like, no, I'm an open book. Go ahead, read me. What do you want to talk about? Hence how it took 3 hours to essentially get to this point in 3 separate episodes. So, I mean, that really helped a lot. And you can speak for, my demeanor after that.
Oh, I can speak?
I don't have a friend in here. You're the only one in here.
I'm the only one in here.
There's nobody in my pocket. You can...
I was just sitting and listening to you. No, it's been completely different now that you started working on yourself, and then we started working on ourselves as a couple. But yeah, no, the difference between how you were with your back pain compared to now it's like night and day. Like, I'm not afraid of you going to the refrigerator and falling down.
That happened.
Or you picking up a child and just taking a step and falling down.
I don't pick up children anymore.
And to get even more personal, but like our sex life at that time was almost non-existent because what is that noise? So our sex life was basically non-existent during that time because of the amount of back pain. You just couldn't move well, and your back pain affected everything. And well, you kind of have to have a sex life in a marriage.
Yeah. With somebody, yeah. Yeah.
You kind of do. A lot of people don't like to talk about that part of a marriage, but you have...
But here on the 10th Year Podcast, we're ready to get into the nitty-gritty.
We talk about everything. You have to have that, not just as being close to each other, but just also stress release and everything like that. And
it's physical and mental health. It really that's a big chunk of it, but yeah.
But like, think about it. Like, if you, not as in you, as in the listeners, if you like broke your leg or had a really bad back or something like, would you want to be having sex? Probably not. If you were in pain,
well, you might want to, but you don't want the pain that goes with it.
Yeah.
Or the chance that the pain could happen.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Mhm. There we go. We getting in that nitty gritty.
I thought you were still speaking. Are you done? I
don't. Yes.
Okay. Well,
are you done?
Pardon me. I don't want to interrupt. Yeah. So now moving on to today, where we are today with this whole where I am or where we are collectively. Mm-hmm. As I mentioned, still have my shit days. They happen. They happen a lot. I may not say they're happening. And it's weird. It's weird because it's weird. It's more weird now than it would have been like 5 years ago, because I know better. I know. I've been through it all now. I know better, but it doesn't seem to matter. My head starts going down that rabbit hole. Doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. I know better, but there are many times where I've even recently where I've thought to myself, man, this place would be a better place without me. I've thought those thoughts, and I know better. I know that's bullshit. I know that, but my head still thinks it. I don't know why. I don't know why. I think a lot. I do a lot of thinking. It may not seem like I do by the way I speak.
You do a lot of thinking, and I do a lot of researching.
My head is always moving. I do some of my best thinking in the shower, believe it or not.
Well, it's a relaxing place.
And it's boring in the shower. There's no visual stimulation in, like, there's nothing in the shower. It's just a white shower.
Yeah.
You know, I have nothing to look at. It's just a wall. You know, yeah. So, but I'm always thinking of something business related. And I will say, owning my own business has been another great way for me to, especially that it's a detailing business. It's a great way for me to channel my focus and the drive to work into something, and I don't have to answer to anybody, which that's a whole other topic in itself. But it's weird for a person that needs to have face-to-face interaction with people. I don't want to work with people. I don't want to work for somebody ever again. And just so many bad experiences, and I as long as I can get out and see and talk to a person at least once a week, I'm fine with working in my garage and never seeing people. As crazy as that sounds, it's the weirdest thing. It's weird hearing it from an extrovert, that I'm okay with not seeing people as long as I get my once or twice every week. It's crazy. But yeah. And I will say, if you are someone who wants to talk more about this in depth, please contact us. I will be more than happy any time or day. I will, more than likely not Crystal, unless you need to speak to her. But with her work schedule and my work schedule, I'm more likely to answer. But if you need to speak to either one of us, let us know. We will put you in touch with our personal information. You can chat with us there if you don't already have it. I'm always willing to help somebody. You know, if you want to learn more about EMDR, what it can do for you,
or a family member, because remember, nobody wants to admit they need help. Nobody likes to admit it, and I didn't admit it until bad things happen, and we were fortunate that it wasn't too late at that point, but in many cases it becomes too late. So be proactive, either with yourself or somebody else. I think that's really the takeaway from all of this. And to put a bow tie on, a nice ribbon, a bow on top of this, the VA finally did acknowledge my claim for back pain and did say, yes, you have a service-connected injury with your back. So it took, 6 years? It took a long time. And honestly, all it took really was the right paperwork. I finally met an angel. I talked to an angel on the phone one day with the VA. I don't know who this lady was, but she is an angel. She told me everything I needed, 110%, even more that I needed to know, what to submit, what to write, you know. She told me everything. And had I not spoke to her, had I hung up and waited for them to call me back or any of that, I might not, things might not have progressed the way they did. So I'm very thankful for that. It's just proof that there's like one good person working at the VA right now, or back then at least. And because that was 2014 at that point. So yeah, it took about 2 years to finally get approved. 2 years. 2.5 years for that. But so that's the happy ending. So the happy ending is I'll never be cured, but at least I have a Band-Aid. A Band-Aid that I know how to apply myself. Mm-hmm.
That's the way. I don't have to self-medicate with alcohol or pills or anything like that. So, I always kind of surprise people when they're like, oh, you have PTSD? Oh, of course, they probably automatically think that because all veterans have PTSD. Oh, you're a veteran? You're a loose cannon. You're PTSD. You're the lowest of the low. You're a dumb shit.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, to quote that teacher from California. Talk about a rabbit hole I could go down on that guy right there. But I did share something this week, so if you really want to hear about my thoughts on that, go to our Facebook page and read that. I wrote it in the nicest way possible. So, but that's it. I don't know what we're going to talk about next week.
I don't know off the top of my head right now.
We'll come up with something.
I keep thinking about dinner.
Oh, me too. I got to process this and get ready for dinner. So that's all we got. Thank you for listening. We just finally put this 3-part episode to bed. And that's it. If you have any questions, you can always email us, Facebook message. That's what I'm looking for. Us. Instagram, direct message, text if you have our number, whatever. Also, one of the goals is we in the beginning wanted to interview couples as well too, or maybe individuals. So if you have a topic that you'd like us to talk about and you want to be involved, let us know. It doesn't have to be in person. We can do phone call interviews. I have that capability of doing that. So let us know if there's a topic you want us to talk about. No holds barred. We can talk about anything. Literally anything. So that's it for now. You got anything else?
Just a rumbling belly.
Yeah, me too. All right. And we are 19 days away from our anniversary.
Woo!
19 days away from our 10th year anniversary.
10 years.
Long years.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Hope you have a good one. Thanks for listening. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you for listening to the 10th Year Podcast. If you have any questions or comments, visit our Facebook page or email us at the10thyearpodcast@gmail.com.